Hello, welcome to another tutorial. This tutorial is about basically painting from a sketch that you may have done whilst you're on your holidays or just walking around with your pad in your hand, and you sit down and you think, oh, that looks a nice little scene. You take your photograph, and then you find it really difficult to try and emulate what you see in your photograph, and you'll never compete with the photograph, never. And who would want to really? You want to really put an impression of what you've seen. It's your memory, and it doesn't necessarily need to be the camera's memory. So you can leave out what you don't want, you can add what you do want, and the best way to do that is to do a little sketch. So I've done this little tonal sketch here of a place where I went to on holiday in a place in France. It's called Cassis. Beautiful little fishing harbour. But what I want to paint today is just the main features of that. I've got the photograph, the reference photograph. I did take the photograph, but I'm working from this basically, mainly this. But I will often refer to the photograph just for a little bit of detail, and also it gives you a great excuse just to sit and look at a beautiful scene with your pencil and your paper in hand and just spend an hour just sketching, and there's nothing better than that really. Anyway, so I've transferred that onto this here, and this is something that I'm not necessarily saying copy this, but it's just getting an idea of how to get a nice painting from a sketch that you've done out in the field. So without further ado, let's move on to this. I've got the brushes I've actually been using are a Skoda Perla from the main detail, and my big brush is going to be big brush, big wash brush. It's going to be another Skoda. Get it out. It's this fella, and a Skoda Ultimo size 18. Don't have to have those brushes. Now I'm using Daniel Smith paints, and because I want to get the full scene in the main clip, I won't be filming the palette as I'm using it, but I will tell you what I'm using as and when. So firstly, I'm going to just give my sky a bit of a wash, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drop in basic colours from my scene. It's just to give like an overall feel for where the colours are going to be. Alright, let's get a little bit of blue in here, a little bit of ultramarine blue, and a bit of cobalt blue. A bit of cerulean blue as well, actually. There you go. Now I'm going to get a little bit of the purple, just to change that up a little bit. A bit of purple on there, and well, that's just mixing around. I'm just going to give it a little shimmy, a shimmy shake, just to get all these pigments blending in nicely together. Right, I think that'll be fine for that. Don't think we need to do any more work on that sky. I think it's just fine. And we've got a little bit of a yellowy tint to these buildings. So I've got this at about 20 degrees angle, so it's quite a good angle really. Actually, it's probably more than that, it's about 30 degrees. So it's a bit fierce. So now add a little bit of orange over to this area. Don't matter if it runs like that, all adds to the fun. A bit of orange there. And I think I'm going to put a little bit of green on these areas there. These are all going to dry very, very light. So these are just like hints, as it were, little hints how the painting is going to blend together. It just gives your eye a chance to move around. Right. Now then, get my size 12 Escoda Perla brush. I'm going to go back into this yellowy colour, pick it up, some nice cadmium yellow, that, and let that run down, do its thing. And I think I'll put a little bit of orangey colour here, simply because I think it'll blend nicely with that. And another brighter orange colour there. This is cadmium orange now. Yeah, just let those come down there. I'm going to pull those down with some clean water just to where I want them to be. I don't really want them to go any further than here. And we can blend it now. This is going to be the background, so we're going to let it be the background by not putting so much detail in there. So let's just get a little bit of a background colour for this over there. There we go. Nothing too spectacular there, is there? There we go. And I'm going to get a little bit of Payne's Grey mixed with a bit of cerulean blue. Get a bit more of that blue in there. And just little different strengths of pigment around there. Don't want to do it all the same strength, otherwise it just won't have that same feel. Now underneath, these are going to be canopies, so underneath these canopies I'm just going to put a bit of shadow underneath there, all the way along there. And if I can be careful around these characters. It doesn't matter if you go over them, we can always lift these colours out after. And it's no big deal. Okay. So it's nice and simple, isn't it? Now then. Over there, like this. Now, I'm going to get a bit of French ultramarine and a bit of what's that? Crimson alizarin. It creates a nice dark blend, those two. Just let those run down as the water allows it. Just little bits where it seems to be a bit slow, just pull it down a bit with a little bit of water. There we go. Yeah. Now that should be getting on for drying. So I want to start working on getting some colour in here. Well, these canopies, and I know this colour is going to run, so don't say, oh, he's letting it run. It's on purpose. So I'm letting that run over there. A lovely red canopy there. It's not red on my reference picture, but this is my memory, so I'm happy with it. It doesn't have to be exactly as you see. And I just think it'll make a much nicer image. So let's just let those things run down now, ever so nicely. There we go, and we'll bring those over there like the shadows, you see. And this lovely stark area of light and shadow. There we go, let's leave that at that. And let that dry for about 5 minutes. I'll come back in a bit. Hello and welcome back. So this has now dried. I'll just put that over there. This is now dried, bone dried, which is just how we like it. That's perfect. Now we can put our second layer. So that's our first layer, which we've got so these are all the pale colours, the main colours, the colours that are gonna like wash into each other and make your eyes dance around the page. So we've got this lovely pale sky, this bit of colour contrasting, and that's getting a little bit darker to the bottom, and these here are going to be shapes that are going to be background shapes. Nothing too serious at the moment. I'm just going to emphasise these buildings by putting a stronger colour to these buildings. So I've got to try and get, and this is where you need to mix your right colours. So I'm using a bit of cadmium orange and cadmium yellow. So at the top, I'll tell you what, I'll use a bit of burnt quinacridone orange for the top part there. I'm going to pull this down in a minute, but this is going to just be where the eaves are. I'm going to pull this down with a bit of cadmium orange. Let it run into it, see? And this one as well. Now, if you notice, I've left a few little unpainted parts there. I've done that on purpose. I just think it adds to the style, to the beauty of it all. It makes it seem a little bit more watercolory. And a bit of dry brush along there, like that, just to break up, like the sunlight's just been hitting it. This side here, I'm going to use some of this mixture of ultramarine blue and crimson alizarin over this area. Down there. And I'm letting run in certain parts wet and wet, because I want some soft edges and I want some hard edges, just as they appear. As they appear. There's no worries. There's no hard and fast rule. I just want a bit of softness up there at the top. See how it's just blended into each other, and that's nice. I like that. Now I want a harsh edge down the bottom here, so I'm just going to use that colour to create that harsh edge there. Yeah, and just on the top of this part now. Now then, we want some really dark bits of things going on at the top there, like aerials and chimney pots. So with this, I'm going to make a strong mixture of Payne's Grey, a bit of Payne's Grey, and a bit of ultramarine blue. Oh sorry, that was Prussian blue there. That'll be alright, Prussian blue with Payne's grey. Now, while this is still wet, some bits of points of interest up there at the top. Underneath that, at the top of that eave there, and just on the tip of the top, tip top. Now, I don't want that to be too high, so I'm just going to wet that there. Just wet that. Let that colour come running down. There we go, and just around about that level. There we go. Right, that's a nice shadow there. And I think this part here, this area is in deep shadow, so we will let it be in deep shadow. There we go. Now let's add a little bit of crimson or alizarin into that colour there, just to break that colour up, to break the dark up. I don't like just flat colours, to be honest with you, so sometimes I'll just add just a little smack of colour. And I'm going to use a bit of orange and quinacridone burnt orange for the top here, and a line there, a little bit of detail over there, and this side of this wall has got like a balcony, so we're just going to indicate that balcony over here. And we'll pick up a bit of this shadow colour and we'll add that underneath that balcony over there. There we go. And in here we've got a window. And we have a window under here and one under there. And we've got one. And see, with this mixture of colours that we've picked up on the brush is making its own colour, so we have some a bit of quinacridone burnt orange, and we have a little bit of mixture of shadow colour, which is that mixture of ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson. So a little line up there, because we want to save that line. And as we go further back, these little bits of detail will be a little bit lighter. Almost sketchy, really, almost a little bit on the sketchy side. And just clean my brush, and I'll pick a bit of, I'm going to have a little bit of shadow colour with a bit of green in there, a little bit of green there. That's just a mixture of sap green and a bit of blue, a bit of yellow. Just make your own greens up. I'll just have some foliage over here. That's it. Just to shape this canopy that's jutting out, really. And some over there. Now these in the back, we won't have any colour to those because it's really far in the distance, so we'll just indicate that these are in the distance, and as is this little hotel. There we go. See how simple this is. All you're doing, you're just blocking in little shapes and pulling it down. So it's not really important. It just tells the viewer there's something going on in the back there. Something's happening over there. I think we should let that dry for a bit before we continue. Right, now that's dried nicely, that, I'm pleased to say. Actually, a little bit damp there, so I'll get my hair dryer on that a minute. That'll do. Okay. Already it's starting to take shape, which is nice. Now then, this building's got little green painted windows. So I'm picking a nice green up for that. Now I'm using just a old sap green and a little bit of yellow with this. Well, it's actually a bit of lemon colour. Let's see how this works. And all we're doing is we're indicating. We're not drawing perfectly straight windows. It's not an architect's job, this. This is a painting job. It's a watercolour job. So these are inferences. These are where we're saying these are where the windows are, yeah? And we don't have to go too crazy about this. There we go. And if we just put enough little small details in, it'll say what it is. Now, this other one has also got the same colour windows on here. So we'll do that. Down the bottom there. That's it. And that one's there done. And now we'll just go into that shadow colour and we'll create. Oh, I'll tell you what we do need. We need a bit of Indian red up this area. Now, we've got a window there which is white, so I'm going to negative paint that. I'm going to leave that area out, and we've got a red, white and blue flag here, which I'm going to just leave that as well. So I'll do that. I think that will be fine. Now at this point, while this is drying, we'll go and increase the sharpness under there. So I'm going to get a bit of Payne's Grey, a little bit of French Ultramarine Blue, and a little bit of Crimson Alizarin. So a really sharp underside. I'm going to leave a little gap here so it shows that it's been held up by something here. Some big legs. And we'll go along there. So we're just painting underneath this. And don't paint a flat line. We want to show there's there could be a point of interest in here, so where light is catching certain objects, we can, where those lights are catching certain objects, we can leave little bits of areas free of paint. We've also, we have actually got paint underneath here, so it's not going to look silly. Now, I've decided I don't think that's a good idea, that big leg there. So we'll just, there we go, like that. it could be held up some other way. It probably is by something over that side. And the same over here. Bits of information. Okay. And let's wait until those bits are dried at the top. I need to go in the windows next. Welcome back. I'm going to go back into these windows and put a lighter. I'm going to add a bit of olive green to this mixture of the green that I made. Just to put a couple of blobs in here. Now in reality there are loads of little slats, but to paint every single one of those slats would just, I think it would take away from the watercolour effect, and I think we'll just put a couple there. Yeah, I think it'd take away from the watercolour effect and it would just look a bit silly. Right, now then, underneath this part here we're going to have a darker yellow. Rest my finger there and there. Look at a little thing holding that balcony up there. Now is the point where we can start going into some of these windows, just to create a little bit more detail here. I like to put a darker pigment at the top when I'm putting windows in. There we go. Right. Let's put a little bit of detail in these trees, same colour, just that left hand side, just to give it a little bit of shape. We're not ready yet with our final shadows, but we're going to colour some of these people in, so I think I'll give this young person there a bit of green and the person next to him bit of red on there, and we'll bring those together, let them blend in. We'll lift some of this colour out in a minute. Let's get some of this green back in here, it's overtook that. All we're doing is just suggesting people walking by. And we'll get a little bit of skin colour, which I mix opera rose with yellow. Just keep mixing it as if you think, until you think that looks okay. I'm going to put this, give this person some red legs, very sunburnt. Well, that'll dry later. It's just to suggest, that's all, just to suggest. And I like to put some very dark shadow in here now. So, crimson alizarin, French ultramarine, nice mixture, strong shadows. And we have some so now as they're drying, I'll just dry those with the hairdryer, those windows. Now to put all the final bits together, and this kind of brings the whole picture together nicely. So we get the nice dark colour. We either use shadow colour, any of these tints or Payne's grey, but try it if you can mix. If you can use Payne's grey, mix it with the colour. Right. So, firstly, let's just get a little balcony on here. I'll just put a little bit of detail in there. Not too much though, because you don't want to confuse the issue. Underneath here, I'll put some darker shadow. And a little bit of shadow under here, deeper shadow, and I'll pick it over this side, and this also needs a bit of shadow. Just needs a little bit of red over there. And I'm going to give these some deeper red stripes. They're not in the building, but who cares? Right, now then, very big lamp over here. So one stroke over there, like that. Nice confident strokes, remember. If you don't, it'll look too feathery and it just won't work. Go straight down there. Just going to have a little more detail in this building over here. Not too much as to spoil the effect, but here A bit of green water there. Right, okay, I'm not going to tinker about with it any longer. I think we're going to call that done. So there you go, you have a painting done from a sketch. So there's your sketch, you move it into your painting section and use your photograph for reference by all means. I'll tell you what I'm going to do before I call it done. I'm going to put a couple of there's a bit of building work going on there, so I'm going to... Oh, you know, I've not done that flipping tricolour flag ever. So let's do that quickly. So it's red at this part. Fancy forgetting that. Flipping slap my hands. And a nice bit of cerulean blue. There you go. Now we can call that done, can't we? Lift that off there. Right, there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. So next time you go out for just for a walk somewhere or go on holiday, take your sketchbook with you. You don't have to be doing a full-blown painting. Just take your sketchbook with you, and it's so much more fun just to sit down, do a little sketch, take your photograph for your reference when you get back home, and then pull a little painting together. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.